On this episode of the Cosmic Confluence podcast, listeners, we don't bypass the feeling that, when life hits that strange pause button, when everything looks fine on the outside, but inside we are like, wait, what am I doing anymore? And we get curious with it. We zoom out. We breathe into the chaos a little because the truth is those moments of internal fog or confusion, they're often the beginning of something very powerful. And listeners, today with your host Sana, as always, we are joined by someone who has actually mastered the art of turning lives stuck energy into spiritual velocity. Reverend Stephen Golden, Doctor of Divinity, best-selling author of Your True Human Power, and also a guide who believes that a single minute of intention can reroute your entire destiny. His work is about activating that inner switch most of us don't even realize we have. The one that pulls you out of survival mode and pushes you into alignment, abundance, and actual clarity. So, if you have ever had this feeling of overwhelm or you have felt that low-key disconnection from yourself, you don't feel attached, or you don't feel you anymore, you are in the right place. Because this is the conversation that might just flip the script. So, Stephen, welcome to the show, and I'm really, really honored to have you here with us.
And thank you. I'm honored to be here too. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. So for the listeners, I'll just add on to that. Before even doing the intro, we were having such a beautiful discussion, around how we kind of create the reality around us with our thoughts, our actions. But moving on to the next one, which is, I think, very interesting, Stephen, that you teach that in just 1 minute, 60 seconds, a person from negativity can shift to unstoppable positivity. Now, there will be criticism, there will be skeptics. So, this claim, might sound like a bit unrealistic. In fact, for me as well. Then how exactly does it work? Like, what actually makes a 1 minute practice so powerful instead of, gimmicky?
Well, and I've shared with a lot of people, when you wake up in the morning, sit down for a few minutes and take in a deep breath into your nose and think in your internal voice, I am grateful, I am happy, I am love, joy. And do that 6 times, and then get up and start your day, and you will see the reality already shifting, because doing that is programming your conscious mind that's actually programming your subconscious mind, and that's shifting the energy frequencies from your body into the universe, divine source. And now science calls that the quantum field, but everything is energy.
Sure. And if someone, let's say I want to try it out, Stephen, and I don't feel anything immediately, because, for example, meditation. First time when I had tried meditation, now I don't like quietness. Something has to play maybe in my surrounding, or maybe some kind of music or song, because I hate the silence. And if I'm sitting still, I'm trying to meditate, all the thoughts are kind of racing within my mind. So similarly, let's say if I don't feel anything after doing this, what's your guidance? Is it to push harder, or maybe trust the slow build?
Well, what you're saying is, when you sit down, you need to have silence and no disturbance, because whatever you're hearing is influencing your conscious mind, and your conscious mind is programming your subconscious mind. So it's not, it's, and I've shared this with people, meditation is good just to sit silently and doing some breath work is good, but sitting there and having the inner voice, what you're thinking in your mind, is powerful. And sometimes, and I shared this too, if you speak it out loud,
Mm-hmm.
power of the word is impacting your conscious mind, programming your subconscious mind. And that shifts all the energy frequencies in your body.
Wow. That actually makes
And
sense.
one more thing about music that I want to share is if you're listening to negative music, that's impacting you.
Yeah.
But if you're listening to good, wonderful, positive music, that is impacting you too.
That is so true. That is so true. It's not only just the emotional part or um, the intangible part here, but I think it's also about the frequency or the vibrations. You know how they interact with our vibration or our energy.
Right. Well, it's mind over matter is really what the power is. And the power and the presence is within you.
Mm.
So what you're thinking about is what you bring about into your life.
Absolutely. And moving on, you talk effortlessly, manifesting relationships, wealth, joy, again in 1 minute a day. But now, um, there are many misconceptions and um, different kind of notions around manifestation. This culture kind of it creates false hope. It kind of puts us into this false justification of taking no action, but just thinking about it. How do you differentiate between um, real spiritual practice from just wishful thinking?
Well, it's not really having the wish, it's just having the positive thoughts. And that altered my reality. And that's why I got to where I am now. And I've had other people that I've helped do that. It's changed their lives too. And it's not a wishful thought, it's a positive thought of, and self-love is also very powerful to your mind, your subconscious mind, and your body.
Hmm. I think that clarification is much needed. It's not wishful thoughts. It's self-love. It's coming from a point of um, forgiving ourselves, um, having that compassion for us. Then only we can project that compassion for others as well. So
Well, it's not really impacting other people. It's just really being the reality around you. And there was this one thing I learned in the Ernest Holmes Institute. Ernest Holmes had this famous quote called, "Thoughts are things."
okay. Oh, makes sense. Makes sense. Because um, the distinction is definitely grounding. And as you mentioned about the box, like emotional blocks, now they can be cleared quickly with the right spiritual technique. Um, I do agree with that, to some extent, but then for more, diving deep into it, how do you approach, let's say, quick transformation without minimizing deeper wounds or deeper, inflicted pain or trauma?
Well, that's a really good question because this is really more about learning how to control your vibration, your thoughts, and the spirituality aspect is that God is the infinite power and presence everywhere, knows everything. And it is the teaching of this is really to teach people how to shift their conscious mind, just understanding and knowing that the divine source is everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And let's say, if I realize that my emotional block is actually, it could be because of years of societal conditioning, or maybe my upbringing, or maybe any kind of painful memory, then do you recommend that I push through, or maybe I slow down? First I process, then I begin onto that path of transformation?
Well, and that's what's in my book, is to actually educate, to walk you through a process to learn how to control your thoughts, your feelings, emotions. And there's something else I want to share too. The world has so much negative impact from the news and things that are going on. And I have been shared with a lot of my family and friends. Stop watching news on TV. Stop listening to it on the radio, because so much of it is not even truthful and it's so negative.
I agree, 100%. It's like this manufactured chaos.
It is, but a lot of it is just to influence people by the negativity of what they're saying. And it has really influenced the world platform now. But now I am back to help influence and educate humanity to the truth of who we are. And I'm very blessed knowing that I live now as a human in remembered radiance of the truth of who I am. And so do you.
And I think this also calls for, this is like a homecoming, that, not just believing or blindly trusting at whatever we are seeing or hearing, but listening to our intuition. Earlier I was having this conversation on intuition, that it's gifted to all of us. It is there within all of us. It's just that we don't know how to kind of awaken it. And you beautifully teach that, intuition, it can give us instant clarity. I 100% agree with that. But then, for someone who has not realized it, Stephen, that, they feel disconnected from their inner voice, maybe because of fear or some kind of pattern. They don't want to trust it. How can they begin tapping into it, without feeling like they're just, intuition is going to make them do something wrong or take some wrong decision?
Well, it's very interesting, because if you sit for a moment, like I've already talked about in the morning, and you ask a question in your internal voice, you will hear the inner voice talking to you. And I've had some very close friends of mine, their parents or their friends or their husband or wives had passed. And I said, now they're a guardian angel for you. If you sit quietly, taking a deep breath and ask in your mind, I'm asking, are you a guardian angel around me? And they will hear the voice, and you help me do whatever that is they want to do. And they will hear the inner voice of the divine source, which is their guardian angels.
Yeah.
And that impacts intuition.
Okay. And is there any difference between intuition and anxiety? Like, how can people, not confuse the two here?
From anxiety?
Yeah.
Well, and that's another one that I've helped some people that I know who have stress, anxiety. Taking a deep breath into your nose, and in your inner voice, you say to yourself, in with a calmness, and then blow out through your mouth, and you say in your inner voice, out with a stress, anxiety, and tension. And do that 6 times in neurology, because proven that refires the neurons in your conscious mind, and the neurons in your conscious mind are programming your subconscious mind, and the stress, tension, and anxiety is eradicated.
Wow. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, well, and that's why I'm sharing it, because it is such a powerful thing. And having neuroscience, they put these nets on these people's heads and had them do in with the calmness, out with the stress and the tension. And they could see the nets as they could see the neurons being reprogrammed in their conscious mind. So that in itself is also proven. Thoughts are things.
Great. Okay. Ah, beautiful, beautiful. And before we wrap up, Stephen, one thing I think that is very obvious, and I think as humans, we need that, definitely, that curiosity, that that fire of asking questions, because we may not have answers to all the questions here, and
And if I can jump in right now, my book does explain the fact that God is not an external being. Even Jesus said that the Father and I are one, and the kingdom of heaven is within. And now knowing that the divine source I call God is everything. We are spiritual beings having a human experience.
I support that, actually, Stephen. I also really believe that there is the higher self, or the higher conscious within us as well. I mean, it's everywhere, but then if we are kind of forgetting ourselves, or disconnecting with our true selves, then how can we go further and see the divine God, whatever it is?
It's really just starting to believe in the truth of who we are. You're not seeking something external.
True. And before we wrap up, I think this is such an important question, Stephen. Spirituality or spiritual lifestyle. Like, I'm not sure if I'm right or wrong, but this kind of a preconceived notion that it's always running away from the most practical things in the world and the realities of the world, and it's just running.
Correct. No, you're incorrect. Spirituality is just understanding that the divine source is the infinite power and presence everywhere. That's what spirituality is.
Exactly. And everybody has their own way of exploring that spirituality within themselves. It couldn't be the same path.
Just understanding that the divine source is the infinite power and presence everywhere, and the power and presence is within each and every one of us. It's not creating a separate community of something. It's just understanding that the divine source, God, is the infinite power and presence everywhere.
Have you had any arguments or discussions with the skeptics? Like, there's always will be skepticism when anything is trying to, like, maybe not be aligning with the traditional belief systems, or thought thought processes.
Well, if somebody were to try just changing their thoughts, their feelings, and emotions, they'll see the reality in their life change.
Love that. Beautiful. So, Stephen, if listeners, they would like to get a hold of your book, and they would also like to connect with you, what would be the easiest way?
To get the book right now is to, the link is www.myhumanpower.com/book. The digital version is available, the hardback is available, and the paperback is available.
Great. So
I'm going to be setting up a teaching and coaching session here probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Wonderful, wonderful. Stephen, first of all, congratulations for your book. And really, really, I think it can be a guiding light in answering all those questions that, we could be having about, trying to know the truest version of ourselves. And I think this conversation, it really, really hit different. It's like wild that, often how we underestimate what we can shift in just one intentional minute. Not because it can solve everything, but it reminds us that we are not powerless.
Correct. Very good.
So, listeners, what I'll do is I'll have all the links in the show notes. So, I invite all of you to check out Stephen's book and also connect with him, check out his sessions. And also, I think Reverend Stephen Golden brings that truth home with clarity, honesty, and zero fluff. So, if you have been walking around with that quiet heaviness within you, maybe that confusion about your path, I hope that this conversation is your moment to try a single minute of something new. Maybe one breath, one thought, maybe the first step to journaling, one intention. It can spark a whole new direction for you, listeners. So thank you so much, Stephen.
Thank you so much. Just one more time, I said this. Jesus even said, and I already said the Father and I are one, but here's the one. The kingdom of heaven is within.
Yes, it is us. Yeah, it is within us. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. And thank you to all the listeners for tuning into Cosmic Confluence with your host, Sana. And until next time, I invite all of you to stay curious, stay disruptive, and stay in alignment with the version of you that's already waiting on the other side of your fear. Thank you.
Thank you.